Hello everybody, it's Mitch with the Gun Shop. Hope you're all well. This week I'm going to take you through some clay pigeon shooting basics, a bit of a clay shooting 101, clay etiquette, a little bit of everything really. Not going to go, overly in depth over kind of certain parts of it, but just to give you a good overview and understanding of getting into clay shooting, what you need, things like kind of licenses, ammo. Probably going to get onto a little bit of guns and also some basic kit and where you can start really. So first things to start with probably before you kind of start down the road of going to look at guns and starting to book yourself onto kind of courses and lessons and things like that. First thing to do is to get get an understanding of what you need. So first off, it's always worth going to look at licensing. Licensing is specific to your local constabulary force in your county. To get a license, it's fairly simple these days. If you go onto your licensing section of your local constabulary's website, there should be a section on there for you to get an e-form, which you can then send off, and then you should be able to get that back anywhere from 2 weeks to 9 months, depending on where you live. Unfortunately, where we live here in lovely old Hampshire, it can take up to a year at the moment, which isn't great, but it's being improved. Then on from there, once you've had a good understanding of licenses and what you can do for that, you can then look on and go to get kind of things like lessons, looking into experiences and going from there. A really good way to get yourself into clay shooting is to either go with friends that do it often, do it weekly or every other week, or even in fact just go and get yourself a lesson. They do group lessons at many of the clay shooting grounds throughout the UK. I know that websites like Shooting UK, CPSA have got directories on their websites which allow you to search for shooting grounds and clay grounds that have group lessons, shotgun introduction lessons, safety courses, etc. Just for you to get a bit of a feel of using a shotgun and shooting clays. Lessons, they can range. I mean, some group lessons you can get for kind of a couple of lessons for like 50 quid or something along those lines, where you get a couple of cartridges and kind of instruction with a group thrown in, all the way up to you're probably looking at around about 100 quid there or thereabouts for a proper 70 shot one-on-one lesson. Depending on where you're going, it can vary quite a lot. It's worth having a look around just to see what the deals are out there, the prices are out there, just to be able to get your teeth in, and mention as well that you are new to it and it's something that you're looking to get into, clay shooting, and they should be able to take you through the paces. So once you've got a good understanding of things like licensing, which could be an entire video by itself, lessons and experiences, it's then when you really want to start kind of getting into what you really need for clay shooting. Now that clay shooting itself, you can basically obviously just have a gun and some cartridges and off you go, but you need some essential equipment. There's one thing that says eyes and ears, always the thing that you need. That being said, you will always need safety glasses, ideally kind of clay-proof safety glasses. You also need ear protection as well, whether it's outer ear muffs style or whether it's in-ear earplugs. In-ear earplugs at any clay shoot are pretty much available, usually a quid a go. They are perfectly fine, or if you want to invest in some microphoned outer ear protection once you really get into it, they're a great investment as well. Going on from there, as you can see, I'm wearing a skeet vest. Skeet vests are there primarily for comfort and functionality. They protect your clothing. With clay shooting, you shoot a lot of clays in a very close period of time, so you're going to get a bit greasy, you're going to get a bit dirty. The skeet vest is there as much for functionality as well. Got big deep pockets on the front, and usually you've got an empties collection on the back as well. And that is essentially it. Apart from an ammo bag and cartridges, which we'll get onto in a bit, it's very little else you need for non-weaponised kit, as it were. So everything other than the gun. First things first is obviously the safety, and then just to take it from there. So that brings us into types of clay shooting. What types of clay shooting are out there? People mention clay pigeon shooting, but clay pigeon shooting is just the definition of the sport. That's like saying that swimming is swimming. There's different types of swimming. You've got breaststroke, you've got front crawl, you've got back crawl, etc. Whereas with clay pigeon shooting, you've got many different disciplines. It's typically split up into trap, which is then split again into down the line, Olympic trap, double trap, etc. There are more, but they're the most common types. And then you've also got skeet, English skeet, Olympic skeet, double skeet, American skeet. There's a lot of types of skeet shooting out there. And then obviously the traditional and the most popular style in the UK, which is what everyone kind of refers to when they say clay pigeon shooting, is English sporting clays. English sporting clays is primarily used to simulate live quarry. So they use flight patterns of kind of incoming ducks, pigeons, pheasants, grouse, snipe, jay, you name it. They simulate the flight path of birds coming out of cover or flying into decoys, and they set the clays up accordingly. And likewise, usually it's a single clay followed by a secondary clay, or they do pairs. So it's just as varied and just as intense as any other version of the sport. It's just a lot more widely accessible and probably a lot easier to get your head around the rules and regulations of it. And that gets us on to a bit of clay shooting etiquette and things like that. Obviously, once you have got yourself set up, once you've got your license all processed, which again is a completely separate issue, we will do a video on that at some point. Once you've got your lessons and things like that, and, once you've got yourself a gun, or you've got yourself to the point where you've got a license where you can go out and use a loan gun from a ground, or you can get one put onto yours, then you start thinking about etiquette and how you are with a shotgun when you're out shooting. As with anything, as with game shooting, it's always about being a good sport, being respectful to others that are shooting with you, and being safe. That's the main thing. As long as you're safe and as long as you have fun, that's all that matters. The best thing to remember is that when you first go out with either your own gun or your first loan gun on your own without an instructor or without a group, you will not be as good as you have been when you've been on a lesson or when you've been out with a group that are showing you the ropes. You just won't, because you're on your own. You haven't got anyone there to outside input to correct your habits or what have you. It's just about getting used to firing the gun. Once you start getting used to that, fine, that's the main thing. But shooting in groups and then going out to kind of Sunday shoots or clay shoots, that's where kind of the etiquette thing starts coming back in. So it's all about being a good sport. Basically just fair sportsmanship. If someone else is at the trap, if someone's at the kind of shooting position, it's good. I hate to compare it, but it's similar to golf. Hushed voices. They want to concentrate on their shot. They're usually getting their eye in. They don't want to get distracted. At those points, it's usually best to lower your voice, maintain your conversation with a friend that's near you, and try not to distract the person that's at the trap.